So, tell me what it's really like having all three of your children live at home.
Oh, wow. We're starting off strong today.
We are.
I have a feeling you want me to say it's a joy.
I want you to tell me what it's really like.
I don't know that I've thought about it to say it fluidly. So give me a moment. I think it's, first of all, absolutely a gift and a grind. To have all three of you still at home and to be able to see each of you. I don't see all of you daily, but consistently, you all are the people I love the most in this world. So that anytime I get to spend with you and your brothers, that is such a gift. And so I would never want to replace that. Knowing full well that at some point you all will be moving on into your own homes. The grind is more about how, navigating the newness. This is the first time I'm parenting young adult children. And so what that looks like, how to respect your all's autonomy, how to make certain that you have the space to grow and do your own things. While also, it is my house, and I don't feel like I'm a super neat freak, but the dishes, the constant dirty dishes and nobody does it sort of thing, and it's nobody's responsibilities. That's the only thing that I would say not a huge fan of. But like I said, it's a joy to be able to watch you all in your careers, doing your things, seeing when you're friends, occasionally. And I feel like for me, at least, it's more about watching you all come and go, because you're all doing your own thing. And we sort of get these drive-by moments where we get to catch up. I don't know. What's it like for you to still be living at home as a 21-year-old, having graduated from college?
I mean, I think there's a lot to it. It feels fine. For me, I don't really see it any particular way. I mean, living and working in this town, why am I moving out? Why am I paying the extra money when I don't need to?
It just makes sense for you.
It just makes sense. And then there's also the sort of view other people have.
Like a stigma around
Yes,
it?
that's the word I was looking for. Why are 20-year-olds, why are young adults living at home when your generation moved out right away?
And so you feel like you get that from others?
It's not that I get that from others. I just feel like sometimes it's just always in the back of my mind.
Are people thinking that about you? If they knew. And do they know?
It's not that I'm are people thinking that about me? It's I know people have these judgments.
And so what are people sort of saying about with the judgments?
I continue to tell you not to ask me about what other people think because I don't know what other people think.
Okay.
But just
I don't know, on TikTok or is this a thing on social media? Is this topic come up a lot?
I don't know that that's my algorithm, but every once in a while, someone usually posts a video complaining about something about their living situation, and the comments are just all about it.
All about it?
All about it. All the different opinions that nobody was asking for. We know how I feel about TikTok comments and people's opinions. I don't care for them.
You like some comments.
I do.
Entertaining and something that has substance. You just don't like complaining.
Right. I don't like judgments. Because it's unnecessary.
Right. Or what about judgments that actually have some substance to them? I don't know if that's a thing.
I think there are some, but I think just it's just I don't know. I don't know. It's just whatever. Where were we? My brain has wandered.
You were saying something about like my generation.
Your generation like moved out right away, got roommates, lived their life. You wanted to be far away from home. And I think that also goes back to like your generation's parents didn't want you at home past 18.
I mean, there could be some truth to that, right? There's this concept of more wanted generations versus in my generation, people had children. I mean, reproductive rights weren't as prevalent, obviously, as they have been, I would say, up until recently. So, we were latchkey kids. We just sort of went and did whatever we sort of wanted to do. And so we felt a lot more autonomous. Like, just go do your thing. And it's like, okay. So, but the other thing is too, so maybe our, your generation feels more comfortable being at home. There could be that. Or the finances, right? Like, to get started and what it would mean. Like, so I guess that would be it. Like, sometimes I think what it would take to start out, sometimes your generation, and I don't know this for certain, like you sort of look at the lifestyle you have getting to stay home versus if you did move out and had to pay your bills, one, where would you be living, which might be a different standard of living that you've had. But then you might not get your morning iced latte as often if you were paying rent.
That goes into habits.
It is.
I'm not saying your generation didn't have habits or expensive habits, but I feel like our generation has the more luxury, expensive habits.
Yeah.
Like the coffee, getting your nails done.
Oh, and the liquor. No, see, like back in my day, like we counted change to go get our cheap alcohol, like Boone's Farm. And back then, like Keystone Light was really cheap. And, so we always, like, we couldn't afford, and I see you all like getting the White Claws or the, Trulies and
the carblesses.
Yes. And,
I have a sensitive tummy.
Sure. I mean, we might have too. We just didn't give it any attention at that time. I mean, you had your choice. Back then, I know, like, there was drip coffee. I don't even know that people drank iced coffee except pouring coffee into a cup and then maybe putting I remember my grandma putting a couple of ice cubes in it just to cool it down so she could drink it. Like, I don't know that iced coffee was even a thing.
That's a tragedy.
Isn't it? Like, I'm just like back in prehistoric times.
Let me tell you, Iceland, finding iced coffee was not a easy task by any means. I did it. I found like 2 or 3 places that had it. Everywhere else, like our hotels, drip coffee.
Drip coffee.
And I was like, not for me, sweetheart.
But could you if you had to?
I did for like the first 2 days because with caffeine withdrawal is a real thing.
It is a real thing.
But
so desperate times called for desperate measures, and you did it.
Hot drinks hurt my tummy.
I don't know.
Yes. We know this.
And so even there was no ice to be had?
No, not even. They would bring out, no, not even in like water.
So let me get this. No ice in Iceland.
No ice in Iceland.
At least in your beverages.
In your beverages.
Because
there's ice. We hiked a glacier. So clearly there's ice. But like, we know that European countries do not have ice. This is not a new
right.
Well, they do. They don't put it in their drinks very often.
Right, because we're very,
it's not
like,
a new
it's an
concept
American
to us.
thing.
It's a very American thing, but Guys, an iced coffee. If you've never had one, you're missing out.
So you highly recommend.
I highly recommend a good one. Not everywhere has a good one.
Okay. So the iced coffees, but I think this is, we also, the places we moved to, what we were willing to have, like we had roommates also just to split the rent up, so I think there is some of that maybe is different. And I think that's what, when you hear, my generation or older people complaining about that, I think that's what they see. And I do think there's some truth to that. And I think there's some truth to the astronomical inflation that we've experienced, where it's really challenging to get started. The rent in most places, and we live in a rural area, and most places you've got to have $2,000 or $3,000 up front. Just that's for rent, let alone any of your utilities to get those turned on. Mm-hmm. Then I meant the $2,000 or $3,000 with a deposit. That's a lot.
Yeah, I do know that's a lot.
But you could do it.
I could do it. I don't want to do it.
Mm-hmm.
I would have to give up my coffee, probably. I would probably have to go down to eating like one meal a day for a while.
So your life would change.
It would change. I don't know that it would change that much. I don't think I can be alone, though. So, I wouldn't move out. This is a real thing. I need so much entertainment in my life that I don't think I could walk around an empty house or empty apartment and not have anyone there.
Yeah. Well, and you say, you do bring up wanting to be entertained a lot. And
it's as simple as a conversation.
Right. And
get me laughing just a little bit.
Yeah, because I don't see you as like a needy or high maintenance. Well, there's moments, but...
Well, I'm very high maintenance. And if you can't put up with it, well, then go find less. But...
Yeah, but I'm just saying, I don't think you're, when you talk about entertainment, you're really talking about...
Just having time with me.
Around. Yeah. Well, your love language is...
It is quality time. I took the love language test on Wednesday.
You did?
For my assignment, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it hasn't changed much.
It hasn't changed, so your primary
It's still quality time, physical touch, something else. I know receiving gifts is the last.
That's the last for your dad and I, too.
I don't like it.
Yeah. I mean,
so
gifts
awkward.
are good.
They're good.
They're good, but it's not your love language. That's not how people speak.
I think acts of service was my third.
And then words of affirmation.
Yeah.
Yeah. So words of affirmation are not as important to you.
I think that and acts of service were tied.
Yeah. And so usually we look at the top two when we're looking at the love languages. So
it's as simple as I walk into the kitchen, look at your husband and say, get in the car. You're taking me to go get coffee. And he's like, okay. Grabs his car keys. We're in the car. We're shooting shit.
No, maybe for our viewers, you need to explain that when you say your husband.
When I say your husband, I do mean my father, who is her husband. And sometimes she will say your father, and she is referring to my father, aka her husband. They are the same people. My father is her husband.
I just say we might need to clarify that, because sometimes...
A couple of times people have assumed that my father and her are not married. They are.
Well, and it's not even that. It has confused them. And
it is.
Wait, I thought... And so it's been this whole conversation that
sometimes, okay, when I would have meetings with my sorority, sometimes I would be like, Dr. K's husband, because... she works at the college I went to school at, so...
That's how they know me.
That's how they know her. They know her as Dr. K. So I'd be like, Dr. K's husband is going to do this for us. Bring these drinks to this event for us. And they'd be like, I thought your parents were married. I'm like, no, they are.
Well, and then sometimes you Well, you call me Mom. You call me Angel. You call me Dr. K. Depending on the
I call you Mama K.
Yeah.
It really depends.
Yeah.
I call your husband Russ, Russell, your husband, Dad. It all depends.
Depends on the context. Yeah. I wonder how people would psychoanalyze that.
I wonder what sort of fit people would throw over me calling my parents by their names.
Oh.
It's a thing. Like, I follow this one creator who, like, constantly introduces her parents by their first names. And people are like, that's so disrespectful. Why do you do that? And she's like, no, they don't care. They prefer that, actually.
That's interesting because, yeah, at times, yeah, I'm your mom. I worked hard to be a parent, so I want to be a mom. And I'm also a person. And so I think sometimes being seen that, and I know you usually use my first name when you're trying to get my attention, because sometimes
Mom doesn't work.
Well, sometimes it doesn't.
Most of the time, it does not.
Yeah, well, because
I usually start off by Mom.
Okay, now to be fair,
Angel.
I'm working, or
And
I'm
then
knee deep in grading, or I'm lost in my thing, and
Angel's the only way to pull you out of it.
I don't know. So, no, I have never seen it as disrespectful, because if there is something that is disrespectful in your tone, and I mean, I think most 10, 12, 14, like every once in a while, those as kids grow, they have that moment where they respond to their parent disrespectfully or what have you. And your dad and I were very quick to address that. So I don't take how you're saying it as disrespectful.
A lot of times I use your guys' first name if I'm like sort of joking around, playing around.
Yeah. So
where were we at?
Yeah, I don't know.
Oh, I was like needed to be entertained. Mm-hmm. Me making your husband come with me to get coffee.
Yes. And so you like having that companionship around, just having people around. I have never lived alone either. Fun fact. So even in my generation, independence, this and that, I don't know that I ever want to. Like, even my good friends from college, right? My sorority sister, we joke around like wanting to be the Golden Girls someday. I mean, we have most of us, we have husbands, so it's not like that we don't want to live the lives we're living now. But I think the essence of what we're saying with that is, I don't ever foresee a future where I would want to live completely alone. I mean, could I if I had to? Yes.
I could. To me, that would just seem really lonely.
That's how I would see it. No, don't get me wrong. I like alone time. Mm-hmm. I like to sort of be able to go off and do my thing. Like,
I could spend a couple weeks living on my own.
Right.
But when I'm left alone for too long, I start getting into trouble. I start causing problems.
Really? Do you want to tell us about those problems you cause?
Well, you and your husband, my father, left town for a week back in May.
We did.
To go to Cancun. And I ended up painting a mural on the wall behind those curtains.
It was very pretty, too.
It was very pretty. Did I have permission to do that? Nope. Did I do it anyways? Yes, I did.
Okay, so see, when you say something
my whole causing problems is sort of like just starting random projects that, like, I got bored the other day at the office and I kept waiting for your husband to start your little office nook renovation that we just completed. And
we need to call it the Nook.
The Nook. Anyways, so I just started ripping the paneling off the wall.
Right.
Your husband was not aware that I was doing that. In fact, I think he had told me to wait. But I was like, I'm bored. This is what's going to happen.
But that's you always liking to have renovation projects, creative, artistic projects.
I'm left alone for too long. I need a project.
Okay.
I can't just be left alone to my own device.
I don't know. It seems like you get quite a bit done when you're left alone to your own devices.
Within reason, I guess.
Yeah. But I think that goes, looping us back to having young adults who live at home with parents still. I mean, this is a big trend, right? I think, and that's increasing over time. I want to say some of the statistics are like about a quarter of 20-something-year-olds are living with parents, which is up from previous years, the early 2000s. And the way I've been wondering about that is certainly some of the reasoning, we know some of the reasoning for it, but I think a lot of it depends, especially for the young adults, how they feel about living at home with their parents, right? I think that it could feel like a step back, like especially if, they've gone off to college and graduated and maybe feel like it's a step back going back home, or maybe they lived on their own for a while, but some things happened and they ended up going back. They could feel stuck. Or I think it could also be strategic is the way I've thought about it. So I don't know, for your own experiences or, I know your brothers are still at home or others that you're sort of seeing, like whether that stepping back, stuck, or strategic seems reasonable based on their experience.
I think it really depends on what situation you're going home to, but also your view on it. I think those both play a key role in it. Obviously, I'm home. It's not really strategic. It's not really stuck. It's just like my options are to live at home, or go pay rent somewhere. I don't want to do that. So I'm going to live at home. It's not necessarily strategic because I'm not doing it to save money necessarily, but I mean, I am. And then there's your son, who...
Your brother.
My brother. Yes. One of them. The middle child.
They're twins, but yes.
The middle child.
The younger by 4 minutes.
I thought it was 2.
I think it's 4.
Oh. Anyways, not my child. He's living at home because he's saving up for a down payment on a house.
Very strategic. Mm-hmm. And he has a 401k that he invests in, and he's paying cash for his grad program.
He's doing all of the strategic, smart things, and I'm just out here living my life. Seeing what happens.
Do you really think that that's true, though? Because, I mean, it might feel that way, but you also are a recent graduate.
I am. I don't know if this is true for a lot of people, but I don't necessarily think that far ahead. It's like, this is what I'm doing because this is what I want to do. Can I do other things? Yes. But that sounds like a lot, and I'm not going to do that.
Right. So it's good to have options, and you are choosing from those. So that's why you probably don't feel stuck, because you do have options. And yet it doesn't seem like strategy, it sounds like, for you, even though...
Because I'm not making the decisions strategically,
You don't feel like you are, but yet you're in grad school.
Things. Yes.
Right? So, I mean, that's part of your thing. Like, you don't want to pay rent because you are paying for grad school. You like your morning coffees. We've established that. And some other things. So how is that not strategy? Because your other options would be taking out some student loans, opting to hey, I could find some roommates and I can still afford my coffee and live independently.
And that's all strategy as well.
Right.
I guess it's maybe just a different kind of strategy.
I wonder.
And there's a more planned strategy, and then there's just a strategy that sort of rolls out in itself, I guess.
Well, as I hear you, it's almost like, yeah, I'm just living my life and this is how I'm rolling. And I know there's other options, but this is just the way I'm doing it. And I wonder if you're giving yourself enough credit for the amount of thought that I would think that would go into something.
There's not a whole lot.
Not a lot of thought.
No.
You're like, let me just stay here because it's working.
A pool in the backyard. My own room. food in the fridge. I'm good.
You're good.
I'm good.
And you make it, but I think this is one of the issues too, right? Which is how do we, especially as parents of young adults, and I think of this in terms, I think Dave Ramsey said this, like, how do we make certain, like, we're a safety net? We're there to help you, but I'm not your hammock. You're not staying at home just to like chill out and live a life of luxury. And what is that right balance?
I'm still stuck on the word hammock. I don't like the word hammock. We have had this discussion before.
I know. Which word would you like?
I don't know.
Like, is there some sort of bougie chair that you'd prefer to be sitting back in, sipping your margaritas? How about the chase floaty? A floaty.
A full floaty.
So we want to be a safety net, but not the pool floaty that you're just sitting there in the pool.
Margarita in the hand.
Right? I mean, I think there's a big difference between those two, which is how can we as parents help you get as much as possible, get established in your adult life, while yet we're not paying your bills. We're not, and that can look subjective, I think, for every parent, every household, and so forth, like what the expectations are and responsibilities with bills, right? Because having you live at home is costing us money. And so that's something that we don't want to pay for anymore. You know, our goal as parents, what we try to do is try to commit it to helping you get through undergraduate without accumulating too much debt. So we feel like we did what we could, but now you're on your own, whether you're living with us or not, and you got your own big girl bills to pay.
Yeah, I do.
And you're doing it?
I'm doing it. I don't love doing it. It's okay. I mean, it's happening. I don't know. Once again, it's one of those things that's just like, it's happening. I don't give it too much thought. I have a job. The bills are getting paid, so it's fine.
So nothing's too stressful for you.
Really?
But yet you don't feel like you've got a clear plan. I mean, you've talked about, and this is where I would wonder whether you really have given this more thought, because you've talked about once you graduate with your graduate degree and what you might do after that.
Yeah, I have discussed moving away. But even that, I'm rethinking. Because I was like, I want to live in Florida because the weather's nice. But then I'm like, it's hot and hurricanes.
Mm-hmm.
At one point, I wanted to live in LA, but then I'm like, people. And I've also considered living in New York, but I don't like New York.
The one day you've spent there, 2 days.
I spent 2 days there, and let me tell you,
downtown. I mean, we
were in the city, and I didn't vibe.
I mean, it was exciting to visit,
right?
But it was very peoply.
It was very peoply. I'm not a very peoply person.
Well,
I did think that I could live in like Denver. I feel like that's like a city my vibe. Yes.
So you still sort of like.
I like city vibe, but I like sort of like tranquility.
Okay.
You know? Well, I also like mountains.
You like mountains and you love water.
I do, but I don't love beaches. So living on the coast is like, yeah.
Okay, so I don't know if you remember, you were a baby. You hated your feet in the sand.
I hate sand.
You were like putting
it gets everywhere and I don't like it.
Yes, you did not want your feet in the sand. I mean, when you were started to be 2 or 3, then you were fine. But no, you could not. You were not one of those kids I could sit down in the sand and you just loved it.
No, it gets everywhere.
It does.
I don't like
for days.
For days.
Everywhere.
I'm not a fan of beaches. It's just not my vibe.
I like a good beach.
I like looking at a beach.
My favorite is sitting poolside.
Yes.
Overlooking the beach.
Overlooking the ocean.
Where I can hear it.
I want to be able to hear it. I want to be able to see it. I don't want to be able to touch it.
Like I said, I like walks on the beach a little bit. But then the sand it's with you for a few days.
Yeah. Anyways, where are we?
Oh my goodness. Okay, so getting back to...
I have a question for you.
Oh.
Who makes more messes, your kids or your dogs?
Oh my goodness. They're very different kinds of messes.
Mm-hmm.
They're the dogs and... Can I call you guys kids? I mean, you're my kids, but really... You're not kids, but anyway, I'll call you kids.
That's
they're
why I
very
said you're
different, or at least the messes that I see that irritate me. So there's that perspective. So, like, seriously, do the dogs have to chew everything up? So you're always finding little scraps of something. And I mean, I think one of them, one's 1 almost, one's 2.
The other one's 3. This is not an issue.
Yes. So finding all of those things all the time, everywhere. And then like the mud, like how do they just bring in mud? They're always digging in the dirt or whatever. So that's a little annoying. But the kitchen, seriously, y'all, like just if you're going to cook, clean up from start to finish. If you start something, I like clean kitchen counters. Again, I'm not a neat freak. But I also, I don't want ants or bugs or things. Not that we, I just, there's nothing. It feels really good walking in and it looks clean. I don't mind a couple like clutter things. There's usually a bag or a set of keys like that. But dirty dishes, yeah, like clean them up. And okay, seriously, this is, and this is a thing that irritates me because you're adults. Why didn't you throw the trash away? Like somebody will open some shit and just leave the trash right there on the counter. Like the trash can is right there. Throw it freaking away. How hard is that?
Let's look at your car.
True.
I don't have room to say because I got us coffee today. I put the straws in the cups and then I threw the little straw wrappers on the floor of my passenger seat. But
right. I would say my car does need a good cleaning right now because living in it, doing a little bit too much. We've all been super busy. But again, if I cleaned up after myself each time, so maybe it's just that we have certain areas that just sort of irritate us. And, there's just something, I think if you've got dirty dishes and your countertop isn't clean and neat, just nothing feels clean in your house. And I'm not talking every speck of, like there can't be a cup in the dirt, in the sink. It's just overall. But seriously, the trash, like
talk to your sons.
I do need.
It is not.
It is them. Yes, I agree. Fair enough. So tell me, like from your experience and then maybe how you think other like 20-something-year-olds would feel, like what makes it feel different to live at home versus, and feel okay with it versus like not okay. I guess going back from that feeling like you're taking a step back, you're stuck, or strategic, and maybe there's just vibing somewhere in between there. I don't know what words, call it what you said, but like what?
Like I said, I think it just depends on like what you're going home to.
Yeah, you mentioned that. So what does that mean?
Some people go home and their parents treat them like they're in high school or middle school. They have a bedtime.
What? Wait, what? No.
I think I saw a TikTok where someone was complaining that they had to leave their phones in the kitchen as a grown adult.
Interesting.
I could be making that up and it could be about something else, but I wouldn't be surprised.
So, and the parents' reasoning for this is, I'm just trying to think like maybe parents in those situations, like it's their house, their rules in general, or is it that they're not sort of seeing and respecting that their children are emerging, they're now these young adults who should be making some of these decisions on their own.
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah, I'd want to know more, like why have a rule that the phone has to be in the kitchen?
That was just an example. Like I said, I don't know if that was real or if I'm making that up.
One of the, like, curfew I know is very real. Like telling, I would not tell you at your age that you need to be in the house by a certain time.
You don't. You didn't do that when I was in high school.
Well, no, because you usually weren't going anywhere.
Right.
I mean, let's be fair.
Right.
But I don't think even then that it was ever about being in the house by a certain time.
Just making sure that we were safe.
It was more about having conversations about what are you doing and having a general idea of when you should be home, right? Because I've always joked, like, I need to know when to start worrying or like when to be chasing a serial killer down or looking in ditches or what have you. So it was more about that common respect of what are you doing and when are you going to be home? Because I think teenagers, especially older teenagers, need to start making some of those decisions as part of their autonomy. Now, again, with safety in mind, I mean, as a parent, that's what I'm going to be looking for, is some safety and trusting that my kid is out doing what they say they're going to be doing, while also knowing sometimes kids can be kids. Mm-hmm. To me, it would never be about what time you're coming home. It would be more, I would want to have discussions more about when somebody is coming home at different hours of the night, how is that affecting me, right? Is that me getting woken up in the middle of the night when I have to go to work? That would be disruptive, right? And so sometimes, especially having dogs in the house, it's like, all right, it's not so much that I mind that you're coming home, but when you do, the dogs are, start barking, waking up. And so to me, it's about how do we minimize that so that I can get the sleep that I need to do the work that I need to do. And to me, that's about how can we all sort of live together and respect each other and what we're all doing.
Mm-hmm.
That makes sense?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it makes sense.
But you're saying other people, like, nope, parents say you got to come home. And so that's where it can feel really yucky.
Yeah. I just think micromanaging your adult kid's life is just weird.
It can be weird. And, I think it can be challenging as parents. Like, this is the first time I'm parenting, these 20-something-year-old kids. So I don't have a playbook of what to do. So I'm really relying on knowing what you all need and what you want, and then thinking in terms as a parent, as somebody who loves and cares. To me, that's what relationships are, is like, what is it you've got going on? How can I support you? How can I help you? And in a reciprocal way, right? Because, what was it, last week, your brother was like, Mom, can I make you dinner? Because he knew I'd been working quite a bit. I think that's what happens when we're
And then you complained about all the dishes.
I did complain about all the dishes. Not that night, because he made me dinner. Then it was very calm.
The next day, you complained about how many dishes. Yes.
They were still there. I know. So since he cooked, I probably should have done the dishes.
Yeah.
Fair.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I will acknowledge sometimes I am part of the problem.
Maybe it's the whole problem.
Sometimes I'm the whole problem. Yes, it's me. I'm the problem. I get it. So yeah, so how does that translate? And I don't know how, all families function differently and how they see their roles, what resources and supports family members have, I think are all very different. The stressors, I think, come into play when they're having those conversations. So I mean, I think every family is just doing the best they can. And I don't know how, how parents and the young adult children can navigate those conversations on things like, what are our responsibilities in the house to each other? What does our relationship look like? What do we want it to look like? Because that goes back to sometimes we just get in certain roles and we behave a certain way automatically. And sometimes we have to pause and go, wait, if this is what we want our relationship to look like, then these are the things that I need to do differently. And that can be hard. Like, I don't know, like, what kind of mom I'm going to be when these other, as you continue to progress. Like, I'll try not to be the overbearing mom too much.
I feel like you haven't changed a whole lot.
Really?
I feel like, I don't know. I feel like you change once we tell you how it is. Like, you're overbearing until we're like, listen, you need to chill out. And then you realize, okay, that it's probably not my role anymore to say that or do that.
Yeah. Because, and I'm glad that, yes, that you feel comfortable sharing with me when I need to chill out and do something differently, and that I respond to that. Because I think that's how it always is in relationships as we get older. It's not intuitive. And I think that's the other thing. Like, how do I make certain that I not only respect your autonomy, but that there's an expectation for it, right? Because the way I would parent you in junior high or high school should be very different than in college, and certainly now that you guys are out.
The parents who track their kids on Life 360 and give them bedtimes at college.
Wait, what?
Yes.
No.
This one I for sure saw a TikTok about. They were like, I have to be here at this time, or I just have to leave my phone here because my mother gets concerned and calls me.
What?
Yes.
Why?
I don't know.
Why?
Mind your business, okay?
Oh,
I would be out and about driving down back roads at 5 a.m. after having been out all night.
Yeah.
This girl did not know about that. She didn't need to know about that.
Okay, and if I did, here, two things. Because there were some times I did. And because you put Life 360 on my phone to track me.
Yes, I did.
So yes, but me calling you, so for most of the time I was thinking, good, I'm glad you're out. I hope you're having fun. But I worried also. So that, I think worrying is always a natural part of parenting. But then that's me owning what is my feelings, and not you do not need to accommodate my feelings as a parent. Yes, I'm going to worry. I want you to be safe, but expecting you to do things differently, and not have experiences.
Just like are you alive? Are you being murdered by a serial killer?
That's all I want to know.
No,
like, you good?
I'm fine. You were like, okay. It was more so like a text.
Yeah, but no, I would not expect, especially if my child was away at college, why would I expect them to be back in their room or back somewhere so that I don't have to worry about them? And it is a scary place out there. I get it. Like, so many bad things can happen, and that is scary as all get out. And I think, especially as a parent, as a mom, all the worst case scenarios are always in a lot of our heads. And, but the difference is, do I have to let those rule how I am and show up as a mom, right? I can still have those worries or those, but then I have to, what I do with those thoughts, and I'm like, okay, those are just natural mom worries. Let's put those aside. My kid is dealing with life. I've done I've taught them things I'd like to think I did about being as safe as possible in all situations. We've had conversations about, not drinking and driving, who you're, going with, that you can always call if you need anything, and so forth. No Life 360, please.
There was this one time that we ended up leaving campus at like midnight, showed up at your house, got in the hot tub, was in the hot tub. Your husband woke up, went to the bathroom, walked right past us. We went up to my room right past him. He had no clue we were in the house, no clue we were there. We ended up leaving at like 3 a.m., went to campus, dropped off one of my friends, ended up back in town at like 5 a.m. to get Starbucks because the winter menu had just dropped. And you had no clue about this.
No, okay, so this is my mom brain. I did see you driving along campus
at 5 a.m.
It was at like 6, I think it was like at 6 or something, and you were driving, and it looked like you were driving the back way from like, okay, this is like maybe bad mom vibes.
Oh, we were. This was right after we got Starbucks. We were on our way back.
So, but this is the first time I checked Life 360 when I woke up, and I see that you're driving, and you're coming from the fraternity houses and driving up, and I'm like, you go, girl. I don't know what you've been doing all night. I hope you had a good time. Right? Like, sorry, you can judge me as a mom. But I want you to have college experiences and because I trust you and all of those things. But then I don't know where I was going with that.
Making sure you have a good head on your shoulders.
I want college students to have some fun, to make some friends, to make some memories, because those college ages, like, you're never going to get those times back. Like, once you're out of college, then you go to the adult grind, and you don't get to have those,
here, y'all.
Yeah, you don't get to have those like late night activities that you used to have, or whatever it is you called it. And
it was a Wednesday night, my guys. My Wednesday night activities.
Yeah. And when you adult, I hope you're going to have some more fun times, but they're not ever quite the same as when you're there with a bunch of friends on a college campus, engaging in hopefully, social activities and so forth. So I don't know. I would not want to be that parent that is monitoring their kid. Okay. Because as a faculty member, so when parents try to say what majors their kid should have or it's like, okay, if they're not loving this class, that should not be their major. Where, like some of these majors are just, you don't want to go into nursing. Yes, it's a great field. We need nurses. It pays decently. But if you're not loving your basic biology class and you're struggling and getting a D, chances are that may not be the best match. But when you have, this 18-year-old who's in tears because parents said, well, that's what you've got to major in because that's your career. It's like, hold on just a second. Wait, parents actually tell you what career you should have instead of allowing you to explore resources. Now, don't get me wrong. I also don't think kids should do whatever they want and say, I'm going to major in basket weaving and I'm going to be a millionaire off of that. Maybe, like, there's always chances, but I would also want to make certain that they have some additional skills in case they need those while they're building their millionaire company in basket weaving. Yes, support the dreams, live the dreams, and have a good head on your shoulders to do that. Oh, this might get would you ever expect me to, like, when you were in college or even now that you're in grad school, would you ever expect me or like, what would happen if I called your faculty member and said I was not happy?
That's not allowed.
But they're doing it.
You're going to get me in trouble for that.
Yeah, because you know me well enough.
No, you will be sending a strongly worded email to that student and being like, do not let your parents call me. If you have an issue, you can talk to me yourself.
Well, it's not about do not let your parents, because the kid probably has no, control over that. Parents are going to do what they're going to do. But my thing is, I want my student to feel like they can navigate that discussion. I'm their teacher.
That is an adult conversation and you are the adult.
Right. And it's my job as a teacher. I know that I'm working with 18 to 22-year-olds or, in graduate programs, it could be the whole range from 21 to 60 plus. And that's okay. And that's my job to help them navigate those discussions. Like, I know this and I want to help the student be successful. The student may not like what I have to say because accountability is important. We've talked about, I expect my students to make mistakes. That's how we learn and grow. And that's so important. And yet when students feel like they can't make a mistake or that it's such an insurmountable consequence or what have you, or that they feel like they must get an A because if not, if they're getting a B, they're going to be in trouble with their parents. This is really challenging, I think, for our students, for young people to be in. I sometimes talk about, B students are the leaders of the world. And I have students like, what? I'm like, even in grad school, and I'm not saying underperform and get Bs or whatever. I'm not saying that.
Do your best.
Do your best. And because when you are always so worried and anxious about getting an A, then you might be missing other opportunities. I'd rather people take chances. Take a class because you want to learn, even when with that instructor, you might get a B. I've had students who refuse to take a class because they've heard that instructor gives Bs. Well, I hope that they also assign C's and D's when those students earn those grades.
I refuse to take any more classes with that one art professor because he gave me a B when I deserved an A. Listen, if you were going to tell me that I should enter my final project that you gave me a C on into the honors art show, no. You gave me a C on my final project and then want me to enter it into an art show? How does that make sense?
Right, that didn't make sense to you.
Does that make sense to you?
I am not the grader of the art.
Why is it that when I spend 30 seconds on a drawing, A+, 15 minutes, C?
I don't know.
Anyways.
But see, this is exactly what I'm saying about my role as a parent. My role as a parent, and your dad and I decided this early on too, when you guys were in elementary school, right? Like, we were going to support what your teachers said. And so if you got in trouble in school,
some of those teachers you should not.
We didn't always agree, but it's sort of like parenting. I am always going to support whatever your dad says. I didn't always agree with it or like it, but he and I would never show disagreement in front of you kids. I might go back to him and say, all right, you just grounded the kids for a week, right? And you were like 7 or something. How's this going to work? Because you're saying no, that means we're going to have to, you're not going to get to watch your whatever show he liked or this or that. That's okay, but I'm just want you to think about this. And he's like, okay, maybe a full week when they're 7 is too long. You think? Anyway, but he was always good about going back and going, okay, maybe 2 days. But we never disagreed in front of each other. And so I think it was important, and I'm not talking about if there was something big with the teachers, but I think sometimes you have to learn, not everything is fair. It's not always perfect. It just is what it is. And those are the kinds of experiences. But if we always swooped in and in the essence fought fights that really, in the big scheme of things, weren't, I think that's what adds up to kids feeling entitled and parents will rescue them from everything.
You won't rescue me from anything.
Not true. And I hope you always know I have your back and that you are going to deal with whatever you're going to deal with. Life is not always fair. It's not always exactly how we want it to be. There's going to be people who, at work, at school, whatever, they're not seeing all of our amazingness or fabulousness in the way that we would want to be recognized. Okay, we can deal with that. Those are feelings that are going to come up for us that we've got to work through. That's just sort of normal. It's not for me as a parent to come in and say, Like I can say, I think you're amazing. And whatever is happening with your teacher in the grade, they're seeing it from their view. They're the ones who are doing this. So
all I'm saying is sometimes it's valid not to want to take another class with the professor.
Absolutely. Like that. I mean, we've talked about this. Like, I'm quite a few people's cup of tea. Well, a few people's cup of tea, but not everybody's. And that's the same thing. Like, I understand if students want to take classes with me, great. That's like one of the best compliments. Students who want to sign up for future classes with you. And I understand not all students have that experience with me. However, I hope that they have that with some teacher and that they enjoy. And somehow we're talking about grades, but I think this goes back to this concept of
this is
accountability.
Really I think this is really just about parents' roles in their adult kids' lives.
Right. Like how does...
what's overstepping, what's supporting.
Right. And I don't know that there's a perfect formula.
I don't think there is.
But I also... you want to raise kids, or at least your dad and I, like, we wanted to raise kids who were kind and courteous and respectful to other people, and that you realize, like, yeah, life sucks sometimes. Like, suck it up, buttercup. Like, I can't take all that suckiness away from you, like, so just when you have some sucky experiences, we can't always, like, you just have to have those experiences, but know that we're here and that you'll get through it and you'll have some better moments. Not all of them will be great, but there will hopefully be a lot of better moments.
I've got nothing else to say, to be honest.
I know. I'm trying to go back. Like, we sort of verged into this with the, like living, having young adults living at home and what that looks like, and whether it felt like a step back, whether it felt like they were stuck or sort of strategizing or somewhere in between any of those, and sort of the gift and grind that it is. And wow, like, I think maybe just sharing, like, the parenting of it, there's a lot of nuances and we don't always get it right, but hopefully we're providing our kids with enough structure, enough support that they can be making the decisions they need to live the life they want.
There's no doubt.
Yeah, you're looking like you're like...
I'm thriving over here.
You're thriving.
Okay.
You got this.
It's been real.
It's been real.
Adios.